two reasons. The first reason is that there were some songs that lyrically didn't really fit the concept of Fear of a Blank Planet, which is a very lyric-driven album. It's a very much concept-driven record. It's, for me, it has an overall shape and a symmetry to it that certain other songs I think would have spoiled that. And the second reason is that I didn't want the album to be longer than 50 minutes. Fear of a Blank Planet we're talking about. I'm very firm now, and as I get more and more into my career, I feel very strongly about albums that are too long. And I think one of the unfortunate things about the CD era, and now the download era, the CD era particularly, is the effect it had on the length of albums. See, now I grew up at the kind of tail end, the very end of the great era for vinyl records, and in the vinyl era you had two sides of vinyl, and your album could be like a maximum of 45 minutes of music. And I actually believe that most of the really great classic albums come from that era because of the discipline of creating your work within that time frame. And what you have now is you have this incredible tendency towards maximalism. In other words, you not only have bands that make 80-minute CDs, you have bands making double CDs, both filled with 80 minutes of music. It's too much. It's too much information. It's almost very indulgent, and I don't believe people can really concentrate on that amount of information. I mean, look, as the speed of life gets faster and faster, and we get more and more distractions in our life, if anything, we should be looking to consume music in smaller lengths, not longer. Because who has the time now to sit down and listen to 2.5 hours of music or 80 minutes of music in one sitting? But on this album I was absolutely firm. I said this album is going to be 45 minutes long, that's it. Now I think it's 50, so I still went over my limit. But the nil recurring tracks were songs that were written during the same period, which I think we all felt were strong songs, perhaps not quite as strong as the music on Fear of a Blank Planet, or at least didn't fit in lyrically. So the decision was made to take them apart and to put them together as part of a companion release. So that's kind of the story of No Regrets. No, we wrote it in about 4 or 5 days. We wrote it in about a week, and it came. One of the wonderful things about being on the road for the whole of last year and not having written a note of music in 2007. I mean, I wrote nothing in 2007. I was on the road the whole year. And coming back and having Christmas at home, quiet Christmas at home, and then getting together with Tim, suddenly all this music came flooding out of both myself and Tim, because we hadn't worked together for so long, and I actually hadn't written anything for over a year. And so I had all these ideas and so the music just came flooding out. And the people that have heard the album so far, which is pretty much finished now, have been saying they think it's our best ever record, and I think they're right. I think something about it, again, has moved to another level. It seems more natural, it seems more confident, and it seems more quintessentially No Man than ever before. It's very epic, it's very textural, it's very beautiful, it's very natural, and I'm really proud of this record. Here is my car, my phone and my... The story is kind of on the internet, the web page, which is that the band, I mean, as you probably know, when you're on tour, part of the touring process or the promotional process is also doing these things where you go to a record store and you perform a few songs, acoustic usually, and you sign some CDs, you meet some fans, and it's kind of to develop the relationship between the shop, the retail outlet, the band and the fans, and it's a really nice thing to do. It's very good for everyone. And we did one of these in Florida, and our record company in America, Atlantic Records, decided to send a remote recording facility along to the show, to the in-store, to try and capture something from it. I'm not quite sure what the theory was, but anyway, when we find out about this, I think there was a sense that we wanted to do something really special. If it was going to be recorded properly, then we wanted to make it really special. So I decided to pull some songs from the back catalogue, things that we've never played actually, at least 2 songs that we've never ever played live, and a few songs that we haven't played for many years from the more progressive era of the band Sky Moves Sideways, for example. And it was a really wonderful magic. It was kind of, it's a cheesy word, but it was a kind of magical evening. Actually, I think it was an afternoon. It was like late afternoon. It was a magical afternoon. There was about 200 fans squeezed into this very small space, and just myself and Wes, we were the only 2 people that could fit on the little stage in the corner, and playing these songs that I mean, a few songs that we have played, you know, Trains, the usual suspects, but a lot of songs that we'd never really performed live, at least not for many years. And it worked really well, and when I listened back to the tapes, I felt like I didn't want to edit the performance at all. And so the whole performance is now immortalised on this CD. Well, the funny thing is our CD sales continue to rise, and Fear of Blank Planet sold about 100,000 copies more than Deadwing. It's sold 250,000 copies now, which is amazing. In an era when supposedly nobody's buying albums anymore, so that's obviously not the case. And the strategy, I think, is this: that Porcupine Tree's music is not music for fickle people. And what I mean by that is it's not the kind of people that listen to Porcupine Tree are quite passionate about the band, and they're not really the kind of people who are interested in just downloading a couple of songs. They want the whole aesthetic experience of listening to an album from beginning to end, a musical journey from beginning to end. And the other thing is that's very important to us, as you can see when you get CDs, is the whole issue of the packaging. And we did a very nice special edition for this album in a box with a DVD, with a book. And we really think very carefully and very hard about the way our music is packaged. And I think that's another kind of way of fighting download culture, because you can't download that experience. You can't have that experience in a virtual context. The experience of, you know, I mean, again, going back to the kind of era of vinyl albums when you would buy an LP and the gatefold sleeve and the whole tangible experience, the tactile experience of listening to the record while you absorbed the information and the images from the sleeve. And I think there are ways to recreate that experience with CDs. I don't know, have you seen the Radiohead, the disc box?
Yeah.
I mean, that for me is beautiful. That's like a piece of art. That's something I want to own. I want to own this piece of art. Whereas I don't feel the same way about a CD in a crystal case. For me, that's just like a piece of software. You know, stick it on your iTunes and throw it away. But if you have something really beautiful, like a real piece of art, like that Radiohead box is, I mean, that's something I want to own, probably for the rest of my life. I will never want to sell that for the rest of my life. Like a beautiful painting, or like a beautiful first edition of a novel. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there are ways to do that, as Radiohead prove, and as Porcupine Tree prove, with the packaging of compact disc releases.